Hello, I'm your host, Leonard Duncan. Welcome to a new episode of ATV-TALK and Motorsports Podcast. Please join us every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We bring you interviews with industry professionals, live events, live news about the motorsports industry in every episode. Enjoy the show. Whether we are out riding with our friends and family or racing in extreme environments, we all need good tires. That's why I recommend GBC Power Sports Tires, a division of Greenball Corp. Their products, which include XC Master, Mini Master, and Groundbuster 3, are what leading professionals in the ATV-UTV industry are using. You can get your tires at greenballtires.com or find them on Instagram as GBC Tires for further inquiries. Are you looking for the best suspension technology for your sport ATV? Look no further than Elka Suspension, the industry leader in sport ATV suspension technology. With championship wins in prestigious events such as the Dakar Rally, SCORE, Best in the Desert, ATV MX, Cross Country, and WORCS, Elka Suspension has established itself as the go-to choice for athletes and enthusiasts alike. But they don't just stop at ATVs. They're constantly expanding into new markets, including UTVs, trucks, SUVs, pit bikes, snowmobiles, and more. Their commitment to innovation and quality means they're always looking to improve and adapt so you can enjoy a smooth ride wherever you go. Want to learn more about what Elka Suspension can do for you? Visit their website at elkasuspension.com or give them a call at 450-655-4855. They will always be happy to answer your questions and help you find the perfect suspension solution for your needs. Braxton Grosse, how are you, sir?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule. Racing on the West Coast, racing on the East Coast. Wow, you are one busy young man.
Yeah, I don't like to be bored, for sure.
How can you be bored with your schedule?
No, you can't. It's always go. Sometimes you wish you were sometimes, but it's pretty nice always being busy, always riding, doing something.
You know, you took on a big task. I know that you had spent a little bit of time back east over the last couple of years, a race here, a race there, but you took on a big responsibility trying to do both series. And we'll touch on your West Coast just here briefly. You're second in points. There's 3 rounds to go. Feeling pretty good about that?
Yeah, Vernal last year. Vernal was our first year, and I won there. That was pretty sweet. And after Vernal, we got 2 of the roughest tracks of the year, and that's kind of where I thrive. I won. It's been a Mesquite. I did good at last year. I won Mesquite last year, and Havasu is my spot. I haven't lost in Havasu in a long time since my pro-am days. I haven't lost there in a lot of years. So I just keep that train rolling.
That's awesome. That's good. Well, good luck in that. And let's talk about the newfound cross country guy that came out west and can ride in the trees.
Yeah, that's been an experience. You know, we talked about that before on here at the beginning of the year. Now we're a little bit deeper in the year, and a lot of stuff has changed, but it's all about just consistency, really. I mean, it's a big change in riding, your scenery and all that, but it's riding a quad is, as long as you got your basic skills down, you just got to be good at adapting. That's the main thing. But a lot of skills transfer over, but some stuff you got to learn.
I'm looking at your results here, and you have no podium finishes, but first.
No, I have one. I have a
take
third.
That back. You have 1/3.
Yes.
You have 1/3. Sorry, but most of your finishes are first. You got an 18th, a 12th. Talk about the learning curves with those races, and usually when you're farther down in the train, it's in the mud. How much of a lesson is that?
It's a it's not fun. It's a frustrating one because it's not God, I'd love to say it's not a skill thing because and it's not a luck thing either. But Georgia, I was in third the whole race. That was the mutter of the year for sure. We haven't had one that bad since. And I was in third all race, and I was right. I was pretty close to Dylan Walraven on the last lap, which he ended up getting second. And it was like the last lap right before, like a mile before the finish. And I just went over this berm and just got sucked up into this mud. And it just took me, I don't know what place did I finish in that race? Like eighth, I think. It took me literally like 5 minutes just to get out of this, not even a hole. Like literally, we're just on flat ground. It's just all the mud that got pushed into the corner. It's dumb stuff like that that has got me. It's not even like my line choices haven't been terrible. I've taken some bad lines, but that's to come with it. It's just the freaking, it's not bad luck because I do it to myself, but at the same time, it's like some stuff just happens and you're just like, why? It's kind of out of control, but something that I should be able to control. I don't know if you can kind of understand that.
Do you think that, the more seasoned guys that have raced back there more are understanding what's going on with you and seeing the mistakes or the error?
I think at the beginning, uh, they definitely were. I came out of the year with the first round of the year with a fifth, and I think I don't want to say necessarily I surprised a few people, but I definitely don't think I was expected to do as good as I did. Um, to be fair, my youth years were not great. I only did 7 races, but they didn't look great. But at this point in the year now, I'm just another racer. I think I don't think that they are saying like, oh, he's making these mistakes just because he's new. At this point, they're like, he's a racer. Like if he makes a mistake, that's on him. It's not because he's new. He knows what he's doing. Like there's no more easing up on me. Not that there was to begin with, but to them, I don't think that there's much difference anymore.
When you go and talk with the guys, or they just accept you as just another guy?
Yeah, at this point, I'm pretty good friends with everybody. Like I talk to almost everybody. I know a lot of people in my XC2 class. I know a lot of the XC1 line. I probably know almost everybody in the XC1 line, and I could go up and talk to any of them. And at this point, I don't think it's more like, oh, how much different. It's not that same conversation that you used to have where everybody just wants to know, how crazy different everything is, and they just, that like shock factor. I think now it's just like I'm just one of the guys at the racetrack, just another person that is just there, normal.
Right. So when you go back there, who's your mentor?
Who's my mentor? It's hard. It's hard. That's a hard question because I know a lot of people and I've got to ride with a lot of people. I hate to give him this title because I don't want to give him the head. But probably Hunter. I've lived with him for a little bit. I don't want to give him the big head, but he's taught me a few things, and I've just learned with him, and got to become really good friends with him. I'm good friends with Walker too. Walker's fast, but if you want to go like mentor, then it'd probably be Hunter. I've learned the most from him probably.
That's good. I mean, he's a great guy to spend time with and to talk with. He's also great social media posts, and he's a kick in the ass. I really enjoy the conversations you have with him, and I enjoy watching his videos.
Yeah, Hunter he's a different type of kid. He's always just looking to have fun. He's a stoked kid every single day that gets to wake up and race his quad, and he loves it every second of it. So that's a good person to look up to because he lives the life, and he has his fun for sure.
Well, you got to look at your racing career and what you're doing. You must love racing your quad as much as he does.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this sport, for everybody that races it, everybody understands what you got to go through, and it's all love. Like this sport, you couldn't do this without just absolutely loving it with all of your heart because it's too hard. Some people, to the people it's not worth it, they stop. But for the people who are really in it, they understand it, they love it. Like this is our life, so that's how it goes.
Right, I get it. I mean, loading up and going to the racetrack, I look at it from a different standpoint. I like loading the truck and going to the races to work on the machine now because I was never good enough as a rider to be the guy riding. So I totally love being there, working on machines, talking to everybody. So I totally get it. I'm hooked.
It's yeah, from day one, that's how it goes.
Trust me, brother. Got it running through my veins. You got to ride snowshoe this year. I don't know if you've ridden it in the past, but it was relatively dry this year.
Pretty dry. I rode it last year. I raced it last year, but I only got to do a lap. My rear shock blew out on like the back side of the mountain on the first lap. So I went. I like the first mile of the track last year was Howard's Hole, and that's how it's always been. This year was a little bit different, but I did the lap. My shock blew out on the backside of the mountain. I got to the pits, and I told my dad, I was like, my rear shock's blown out, but I really want to go through Howard's Hole again. So I'm just going to keep riding until I get out of Howard's Hole. Then I'm going to stop because I just wanted to go through there again because it was pretty sweet. This year, last year, obviously that happened and it was more for fun. But then this year went there. Howard's Hole was it was different this year. I think they said they've ran it like that before a long time ago. This year was like, last year you came down a hill and like kind of horseshoed. This year you came from the bottom of it and just went straight up. That was still flooded. Like they do that because it's Howard's Hole. But besides that, pretty dry. The woods are always super humid there, like no matter what. So if you're going slow in those woods, I'm very sorry for you because you're just like drenched in sweat and it's no fun if you're stopped. I raced it on a dirt bike and I was stopped a lot, stuck doing something, and that sucked. On the quad, it was a little bit better.
So you rode two different classes back there. So you got to ride a quad and a dirt bike.
Last year I raced my dirt bike there too. Last year I raced like open B on a dirt bike, and I think I got like third actually. So that was pretty sweet.
Man, and that had to have been rough because it was really, really wet last year.
That was, dude. Yeah, last year on the dirt bike, it was. I tell this to every single person. That was the hardest race I've ever done on a dirt bike for 3 hours. That was the hardest race I've ever done, and I will until I do something that's harder than that. I will live on that because that was intense.
Well, Tennessee this year wasn't fun for you either, was it?
Tennessee was no. Tennessee was a bad race from the get go. It was a new venue, but I didn't really mind it. I thought it was good, but I got a dead last start, and then I just made mistake after mistake. The guy who actually takes care of my bike, Chance Hickey, the Hickeys, on I think it was like a mile into the track, he like flipped right in front of me, and I like rode up onto his bike. He was underneath of it, and I ran over him, and then we were like in the college A line, and then I tried to pass this kid, and I freaking swapped. I hit a tree, I wadded up. It was a bad race from the get go. So that race was just more like coming from the back, learning how to pass. You gotta what in my situation, you gotta take everything as a learning thing. All I did that race was just learn how to pass people because that's all I did all day long. I started basically from the B lines after I got passed by everybody. So it wasn't a great race, but you got to learn from everything.
But isn't that what makes the cross country for you so much fun because you get to learn so much?
Yeah, I mean that's like when we talked about that at the beginning. That's what keeps you excited. That's what keeps you wanting to go. When you don't do good, it just like so for some people it like hurts you and it just makes you not want to do it. But for me, it's like when I'm not doing good, I just like I want to understand it. I want to know why I didn't do good. I want to know why I did this, and I just want to get better and like keep pushing and keep learning. And that's what's helped me out a lot this year is just like I haven't let anything get me down. I get upset obviously when I don't do good, but I just like, you got to put your head down. You got to keep learning, keep grinding, and you'll get there.
So since you've been on summer break on both West Coast and East Coast, what's your training schedule like?
So the as soon as we ended snowshoe, I actually got to spend some time up in Delaware and with the kid who takes care of my bike. And we did a little bit of riding. I got to do the Osborne Off-Road Camp, which I don't know if you know what Osborne Off-Road is. They're just kind of like another vendor. He's a really, really nice family, and they just helping out the community a lot. So I got to help with the camp, be a teacher. I actually got to do it with Hannah Hunter. I don't know if you got to talk to Hannah Hunter, but me and Hannah Hunter were on a team, and there was a bunch of other people there. Adam McGill was one of them, Walker Fowler. So that was pretty cool. That was a good experience.
I've had Hannah Hunter in studio.
Yeah, she's nice. She's actually nice.
You live in the same town as me, just 40 minutes from me, and you won't even come in the studio. And Hannah Hunter lives across the planet, and she came and sat down with me.
Well, one day we'll make a trip and I'll come down there. But I had probably like talked to Hannah maybe twice, a few words, maybe. That's even a stretch. And we just got paired together randomly, and I got to know her. She was actually really, really cool, really nice. So that was sweet. Meeting new people always. So that was sweet.
She's a tough chick, isn't she?
Yeah, they're all hardcore. Chloe Harper was there, and Jessica Elioff. So all those girls were there. We had some XC2 riders. It was a pretty sweet camp. Yeah.
Note to self: I will not be riding with those gals.
No, they're hardcore. They aren't scared. I stay away. I watched them race some TRX 90s. I don't want to get in the middle of their TRX 90 race. That's for sure.
Right. They're ruthless, aren't they?
Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
Oh man, I'm such a huge fan. I was trying to work out to get back there and go to Ironman this year. I don't think it's going to work out for me, but I'm still holding out a little bit of hope. But really excited for the way the series is growing. And can you believe the amount of spectators that come out and see you guys?
No, it is unbelievable. Where we're from, it's not as big of a, you go to the racetrack if you're a racer. You go to the racetrack if you're a support team. We don't really have a lot of spectators, and it really sucks. And then you go to the East Coast, and God, I swear half the people that go into that venue are just there to spectate. Like Ironman, Snowshoe, half the mountain was spectators. It literally, there was probably more people there just to watch than there was to race. And it's awesome because it's everybody's there for both. Everybody's there for the quads. Everybody's there for the dirt bikes. They just love to get down in the mud and have fun. And it's completely different. It's an awesome experience. And it's nothing like anything we have out here for sure. It's just a different atmosphere.
Are you ready for your next vacation adventure? Step into the heart of Arizona's natural splendor with a tour of Antelope Slot Canyon. Ideal for photography enthusiasts and nature lovers, our tours offer a unique journey through a landscape sculpted over millions of years. Let our expert guides lead you through the swirling sandstone. We're going to have to do it. Let our expert guides lead you through the swirling sandstone formations where every turn reveals stunning light displays, geological marvels. Secure your spot now at Antelope Slot Canyon Tours and prepare to be awed by the canyon's mystical beauty. For details, please visit us at antelopeslotcanyon.com.
I totally get it. I mean, just being at the Legends race 2 weeks ago was incredible for me. Seeing the amount of spectators that came out for that. If you missed any of those videos, you can check those out on our YouTube channel. But man, it when things are electric, And when I was talking to Adam McGill, he gets all excited when he talks about Snowshoe. I don't know. I can't wait to go back and experience it just to get a feel for what it's really like.
Yeah, it's one of those things you can't explain it. Like no matter how much you explain it, no matter how much you tell people how crazy it is, you don't really understand it until you're there. Until you're in the village on Saturday night and it's crazy. Until you're in Howard's Hole and freaking people are slapping you on your helmet as you're racing and it's just crazy. It's I don't know how to explain it. There's no words. You got to see it. That's the only way to say it.
So that brings up a question that I told you I was going to put you on the spot when we booked this thing.
West Coast, East Coast, you have an opportunity of a lifetime to accelerate your career on the East Coast. Is this something that the Grosse family and Braxton Grosse are looking to do?
I mean, no matter what happens, like we'll always continue racing. I've met a lot of nice families. It's hard to say, because it's racing quads is my whole life, but then you also gotta have life. You gotta have real life too. So it's like I kind of just got to start making some more real life decisions and deciding like really what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I don't want to make it sound like I don't want to do this anymore, because if there's a way to make this happen, I'm going to make it happen, and this is going to be my career. But I just got to we got to figure out a few more things. No matter what, I think GNCC is in my future 100%. Like it'll definitely be more of that. I'd love to do some ATV-MX races too. Um, but GNCC is in my future 100%. It's hard to say goodbye to your home family, but you got to make decisions. Just like I was saying, real life decisions. Maybe this is my real life decision, and this is what I got to do to take my next step. So GNCC is in the future for sure. We just got to keep deciding as we go, keep figuring it out.
Not to bring this up about somebody else, but you have a sister that is a professional mountain bike racer, and didn't she make the decision as well?
Oh yeah, I mean Gwendolyn is. Everybody always talks about. The joke is I'm Gwendolyn's little brother. That's how I'm known. I'm Gwendolyn's little brother. It's just I don't know. It's dumb, but she had to make a decision. But she had a great team back her when she started. She had a wonderful team that took her under her wing and showed her everything first. And now she's on Trek Factory, and she's she's making it big. She's doing a great job. And it's like there's really no major mountain bike racing here. Everything's in Europe for mountain bike racing. That's all it is. So for her, I think it was a no-brainer to go. And so there really was no competition over here, because there really is no mountain bike racing over here. If she was going to make it big, it's only in Europe, really. So she basically lives there half the time. Like she's there for 6 months training with her team, and then her home is in Colorado. That's where she went to college, and that's where she's lived when she's not in Europe, basically.
So the professional life for the Grosse family means that you're probably going to end up having to really knuckle down and make a decision of which coast you're going to live on.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you realistically, if I decided to race GNCC full time, like it's one of those things where it's, obviously this is still my home. I'm only 17 years old. It's the whole moving out full time. That's not an option, whether I want it to be or not. And I don't really want it to be, I still like being at home. My mom wouldn't let me leave even if I tried. So that's not even a worry. It definitely would be I would go there for a lot longer of a time, then come home, maybe like 2-3 races at a time. Where I'd be staying, who knows? But if I did it, it would be way more, I'll call it professional. Because this year, our program, even though it looks really good, it really hasn't been amazing. We've been working on our bike at the racetrack on Friday before the race, just doing like the final things, just because that's how we've made it work. So next year, if we do it full time, it's going to be more professional. That's what I'll call it, because that's the right word. It's professional, making a little bit better effort to make sure the bike is fully ready to go. And we don't skip any corners. I don't want to make it sound like that either, but just better. It could always be better.
Right. It can always be better. You can always do something better. You can always put in a little more effort, this, that, or the other thing. Me, I'm a fidgeter. I would be always on Friday. If I was there, I'd be working on the bike all day Friday. That's all I do. It's
Yeah,
just that's me.
just always messing with something. And to be honest with you, that's not me. I won't even lie to you, because with them, with the East Coast thing, you don't practice or nothing. You come to the racetrack, bike's ready to go. So for me, if I were to do it and I could, have it my way, like my bike would be done when I get to the racetrack. All I got to do is check the air pressure of the tires the morning of. Like that's it. No stress on the weekend. That's probably been another big downfall, is literally like my whole weekend is like work, then race. and compared to a pros weekend where it's bike the track on Friday, go to sleep really early, wake up, whenever, go watch the start of the AM race, way more laid back than what my weekends look like. And I'm 100% sure it would make a difference. It's not even a question in my mind that would make a difference.
I totally agree with you, and when I mean fidgeting with the bike is I'm just a hands-on recheck, check again, check it again. And, oh, I just checked it, but I'm going to check it again just because uh, it's just something inside of me that can never let it rest. If I'm thinking about it, I'm touching it just because I want to know.
You want to make sure, and that's the way to do it. That's the program you got to be on if you want to be the best top dog.
Well, and being a mechanic and having, like, I had Doug Eichner's life in my hands. Every time he got on his machine, it was up to me to make sure that there was no issues. So rechecking and checking again, and going back, I remember Doug calling me on the phone a couple of times, and I'm at the racetrack working on his bike, and he's like, "Hey, dude, it's dinner time. When are you coming back to the motel?" And uh, well, yeah, I'll pick up right now, and we can go get something to eat. Just because I wanted to make sure that everything was perfect.
Yeah,
You get it.
yeah, I get it. No, I 100% get it. That's the way you have to be, but it's, I don't know, it's different, but for sure.
How bitching is it though to just go to the line, race your race, and then be able to leave?
It's nice, and it's not nice. Like, when you take a race that we do into perspective, or a motocross race, you're going out there, maybe you get a little bit less ride time in the weekend. I kind of try to look at things from like an amateur's perspective. I think from like an amateur perspective, it kind of maybe is not as good, maybe, because you get maybe a little less ride time. I don't know. It's so hard. I think it's pretty cool. I like it because then when you go to the racetrack, there's no chance of your freaking race bike breaking during unclassified, or like something dumb happening during unclassified, getting yourself hurt before the race, which is always a possibility when you're practicing. But there's different ways to look at it. I like it in some ways. And then there's also sometimes where I was like, man, I really wish I could just hit this real quick just to double check it. And that's something nice that we get to do here that you don't get to do there. It's the first lap is really scary. It's slow, really slow pace on the first lap, or it's not slow, but it's a slower pace than like what race pace is, because you're just learning everything first and then you start racing. So it's a little scary on the first lap sometimes when there's kind of a gnarly section that you're just like thinking about the whole time. You're just like, even though I walked this line like four times, 5 times, is it going to be the same? Am I going to get stuck? Did I make the wrong decision? It's all really quick thinking that you just got to make on the spot, and you just got to hope that you were right.
Isn't it being in the second line a little easier than being in the first line?
Oh, that's a yes. Yeah, no. Like, the second line definitely is nice in the way where the pros clear the way, because there's always 1 mile of racetrack that was not touched from the AM race. So there's 1 mile of racetrack that is just marked up, but no lines through it. So them kind of breaking it in first is like a little nice, because then you get to see where they go. But at the same time, there's not a big difference. Like, you would think that, you can't really tell where they went. It's not enough race time. There's only 12 of them. 12 tires running over the same section of track really doesn't make that big of a difference. So if you're leading the XC2 class, you're kind of in the same boat. There's not really any ruts dug up. You're kind of still making your own decisions.
What's it like for you, because you're still a rookie, leading that XC1 or the XC2 line?
There's only been one time where I've led it from the start, and it was at Camp Coker, and I think I got past
Florida. Didn't you
No.
hold Florida?
I got second in Florida, and then like as soon as we went into the trees, I took a bad line and hit a tree. Then I was in like 6th for a while until I made my way back up. But Camp Coker, I got the whole shot, and then that's when Hunter Hart's stem snapped. So he was stuck in the middle of the track, and it was like right around a bend. So then he was stuck right in the middle of the track. So then I had to get off my bike, push it back. And then by then I was in like sixth or seventh, same deal as Florida kind of. So I've only ever got to like lead a race on the first lap for either 1 mile of the track, or I haven't got to do it at all, really. Every time I've been leading, it's been late in the race.
Wow. So you don't know what it's like yet.
No, I haven't. At each racetrack, there's usually like a cool feature, like Big Buck has Big Buck Hill, Snowshoe obviously has Howard's Hole, Ironman has Ironman Hill. Each racetrack kind of has like a special thing or like a gnarly hill climb or something like that. And I have never led into anything like that before. I'm always following somebody doing one of those sections, which that's the part that I would always be like scared of doing, more worried about what I'm going to do.
So you take it as a plus that you're having somebody help teach you on the first lap through.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a perfect start for me is get the whole shot, because then you get the whole shot money, and then frickin' somebody passes you right away, and then you get to follow somebody for the whole first lap, because then the pressure is off you. Because really, when you're in second, there's pressure from third and fourth and all them. But when you're leading, all the pressure's on you. You're making all the line choices. So when you're following, you're way less pressure on you. You're just watching this other guy ride, watching his mistakes, seeing what he's doing, and then you just go off of him. When you're leading on the first lap of that race, I mean, the stress is next level. Like you're always worrying about what you're doing. Like, oh, was this a dumb line? Did I just let him gain a little bit? Did I just gain a little bit? You're worried about so much more than if you're just in second. You're just watching the guy race in front of you.
Wow. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Most of your career's been, Friday practice, Saturday unclassified, and then you get to see the track multiple times. So it's not registering the same for you as when the green flag drops. It's the first time you get to see it.
For sure. But for these guys, it's like it's normal. That's all they know. So for them, they're not worried about anything. And like over there, their tracks are most of the time pretty similar. So they already kind of know what's coming for the most part. Everything always changes. That woods racing is there's always something that could go wrong, or something always usually does go wrong. Something happens. So for them, it's a little bit more normal. And maybe as I get more, seasoned, I'd be like, yeah, I don't really want to follow anybody. I would just like to lead the whole time, which that's what everybody would like to do. But right now, the first lap of a race, or at least until I get comfortable, I would way rather be following somebody than leading 100%.
That's too funny. When we started racing WORCS, there was no practice.
That's how it used to be back when it started.
Like, I mean, I raced WORCS for 2-3 years. There was no practice.
It was just show up and
green
race.
flag on on your moto on your race, and that was it.
And I mean, there's pluses and minuses to it, and I just think I'm so used to it, and that's why I maybe like, oh, I kind of like it. But at the same time, then you're just kind of a little less stressed on the race week, and you just show up, bike's ready to go. All you got to worry about is putting your gear on and race.
I liked the no practice.
Yeah,
I really did. It's just like best in the desert. There's no pre-running. When the green flag drops, dude, that's when you got the map. You get to see it, but you're getting to see some of it in fifth gear.
And it's a different type of you kind of got to think a little bit different. It's when you get to practice, it's kind of steered more towards a person that just likes to go out there and just sprint and just put down as hard of laps as possible. When you don't know what's coming, you got to be preservative. You got to kind of like think about it, be like, okay, I can go this fast, but maybe let's just keep it calm, make smart decisions on this first lap, and then really open it up.
I agree with that too. I was probably never that smart, but pin it to win it and hope you're not on the wrecker. I wasn't on the first line most of the time in some of the races, so there was always a groove cut or some of the
something.
yeah, there was always something. So you had a good trail worn in. I couldn't imagine going through the trees the pace that you guys go. That's insane.
That's and a lot of people like think that they just think of trees. They just think like you're going that fast through there. But if you think about it, when you're in Lake Havasu, or Lake Havasu kind of sucks to think about because it's just whoops, but it's the easiest way to think about it because the deepest train tracks get made there. When you're in Lake Havasu, you're in that train track rut, and you're just like you're in it. Like unless you purposely get out of it, you're stuck in that train track, that two tire marks. It's the same exact deal in the trees. Like if you get really out of whack, then you're going to hit a tree. But really, the only way you're coming out of your line, the line that's created, is if you get a little buck wild or you do it on purpose. And that's the easiest way to think about it. And once you're racing, you're kind of just like in this. Your vision shrinks. Your vision is way different when you're racing woods. I think like you're kind of looking for little pinpoints of like, oh, I can get off the track there. Where in the West Coast, you're kind of scanning the horizon always, like checking everything out. In GNCC, for me at least, it's like I'm in the zone in between in this section, and I'm just looking like quick, like that way. Like, okay, there's a cutoff there. It's not much faster. Then I'm back in the zone. Then I'm always like darting my eyes around, where in WORCS, in West Coast racing, I'm like, okay, I kind of know what's coming up. I scan a little bit. I'm like looking up, checking out what's coming next. And then I'm like kind of back on what I'm racing. It's more of a scan instead of like a pinpoint.
How's the conditioning different between the two races?
So WORCS, now that I've raced, I used to think like GNCC was going to be a lot harder in the terms of like you're a lot tighter on the bike. I was thinking arm pump is going to be so much worse. It's going to be so much harder to control my bike because in WORCS, you get out, green flag drops, and you know the track. So your sprint pace right out the gate, right away. So like you pump up a little bit because you're going as hard as possible. But on the first lap of a GNCC race, you're kind of in like this, like not a putt, definitely not a putt, but you're not going race pace the first lap. So you get about 20 to 25 minutes of ride time at just a steady, clean pace where your body just works into itself, and then you hit it hard. Where like I said, at WORCS, you're hitting it hard right off the bat, so your body is just like, what the heck just happened? Instead of getting like a little warm up before you like really hit it hard. And it's not that big of a difference, but when you're a racer and you understand pace, then you're like, yes, it's not the same pace at all.
Okay, I get it. I
Yeah.
totally, so the second ride in the desert for me was always the better ride. Well, the third ride was always the best, but after you got that first ride out of the way, you're better. So when you're racing the woods, you're loosening your muscles all up, and it's almost like a stretching. It's
Yeah,
almost like through a stretching routine or a cycling routine before you start racing.
basically. And like you said in the desert thing, just because the first lap wasn't the best one, you're still going fast. But then the second lap, you're loose and maybe you're hanging it out a little bit more, like ripping a little bit harder. That's the same deal. It's not that you're going slow. It's just you're a little bit more like a little bit under control. You're not really doing anything crazy. You're not doing anything crazy. You're not risking anything. You're just kind of riding, setting a pace, figuring out what you're doing, figuring out the track, and then you kind of set into the race pace of like hitting it hard, and then you let it go a little bit.
Wow. That's pretty cool. I like that. I think that, that would be all right to get to go and warm up. I know it's not like that. I'm making it more, I'm simplifying it way more than it actually is. But being able to go out there and cruise and loosen myself up, because I'm old,
Mhm.
then getting to ride into the second lap, harder would be awesome.
And that's exactly, and that is one of the biggest differences from the pro class to the XC2 class. I was just talking about this with somebody. Like the jump from in any ATV racing, just because it's the way it is, in any dirt bike racing too, like the jump from pro am to pro is a huge difference. I mean, you're looking at like my lap times compared to Bryson Neal lap times, like I'm pretty sure it's like 3 minutes a lap. Like that's crazy. You know, that's over a 30-minute lap, of course, but 3 minutes is insane. And you're looking at that from first lap to fourth lap. And I think the biggest difference is in the pro class, those guys really aren't doing as much of what I'm saying, like the whole, like maybe taking it a little bit slower. They're just so used to not really having like a full idea of the course and just hanging it out there that they're starting at their sprint speed. Like I'm almost positive. Of course, I've never raced it before, but they're not doing that whole warm-up thing. And that's why I think when you see XC2 riders go to XC1, they kind of struggle a little bit more because you're looking at, you were so used to having this little bit of a cushion on the first lap to where everybody stayed a little bit closer. In the XC1 class, you start and it's your race pace. You're racing. There's no like, if you mess up, Hunter Hart's right behind you. He's going to pass you. You know, there's no little mistakes that can be made. Where in the XC2 class, a little bit more forgiving. You know, people aren't going to get as crazy, try to force something to happen. XC1 class, they're forcing something to happen. They got to hit you. They're going to hit you. Like, it doesn't matter what time of the race it is. It's game on from the get-go. And
it's money.
Yeah, it's money. You know, that's those guys' life. And I don't want to make XC2 seem like soft. Not that I am, but like, this is all just like a racer's perspective of things, you know.
Let me sum it up for you. You guys are racing for a trophy and learning.
Yeah.
You're at the level, you're still climbing the ladder. When you get into the pro class now, there's guys in that line that are feeding their families with the money that they're earning in the positions. So that means there are no holds barred. They're not going to cut you any slack. You know, they may be your friend in the pits or after the race, but during the race, dude, if passing you, you know, and rubbing you into a tree gets them that next position, which means that their children get new shoes, you're gonna be hugging the tree. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, you're in the tree. There's no option. And it's happened a couple times where and usually for some reason it's always Josh and Josh has been killing it this year, Josh Merritt. But I've ridden with Josh a couple times this year. When I say ridden with Josh, I mean like snowshoe. I rode behind him for like, he was behind me for a little bit just because he had like a flat tire, I think, at snowshoe. So I passed him in the pit zone. And then he rode behind me for a little bit. He got around me. And then I followed him for about half a lap, I'd say, just like trying my hardest. The way that they ride, Josh rides because he's a good rider. And I also followed him at Georgia a little bit too because he got stuck or something on like the first lap. So I got to follow him. Their riding is a lot more aggressive than our XC2 riding. We're still aggressive. I mean, I've been hit in the XC2 class. I'm sure they've been hit harder than what I have, but there's a lot more bumping, a lot more rubbing in that XC1 line than there is the XC2 line. And the XC2 line ain't no walk in the park. So it's gnarly.
Well, you have to use a little bit of force to make a pass sometimes because you don't always have that option. There's one line. Maybe there's not another line, or there's riders backed up in your passing line that's no longer a passing line because you have to figure it out.
And that's why in WORCS and stuff, like there's like last lap passes. But a last lap pass in WORCS or in desert can be made at any point in the racetrack. But when I hear like, oh, Walker Fowler made a last lap pass like a mile from the finish line, I'm like, I know that was gnarly because I could think of only a couple lines that he could take, and he had to make it work if he was going to do it. So like when you hear of somebody making like a hard pass over here, like you're thinking of like a hard pass. In the West Coast, you have a little bit more room to like maybe not hit somebody, but over here, over on the East Coast, it's way more of like when you're making a pass, you make it stick, and if you really need it, then you're probably behind their front tire, but you're still going to hit them because you'd never know if you're going to make it happen.
So Rubbin's racing.
Oh yeah, Rubbin's racing 100%.
you know, I want to ask this question. We've had a great conversation so far. How is mom and dad handling the distance? And I know your dad gets to go more than your mom does. Is mom by the phone waiting for the results, or is she watching the computer? How's it going in that aspect for you?
GNCC has like Racer TV, which is on YouTube, so they broadcast that. Unfortunately, it's actually funny because I talked to Johnny Gallagher about this. They really don't talk about XC2 riders. They really only talk about the top 10, really. And I made a joke. I made a joke to Johnny. I was like, dude, my grandma doesn't like you very much because you never talk about me. And he goes, well, you're never in the top 10. And I was like, that's a good point. I don't know. But it's so like, you got to work for not that that's about that, but like, if you want to see, like if my parents wanted to see me on the live broadcast, it really only happens if I'm in the top, I think top 15 is on the screen. But yeah, for the most part, my mom is like, I mean, I talked to her before the race and after the race, and she's always waiting. She is waiting. And the distancing, like I'm gone for, like I'll be gone for a couple weeks at a time. And it's just, I don't know. It's not that it's normal now, but it's just become like more normal as I've just kind of grown into this life that I've lived the past this year and the years before.
That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. Do you see yourself, and you mentioned racing a couple motocross races. Do you see yourself racing any desert?
Yeah, it was funny. Hunter just had texted me like a couple days ago. He said, "Me and you, Vegas to Reno next year," and I was like, "You got to take that up with my dad." But I would love to do some. I think it'd be just a good experience. I don't think I'd ever do it like competitively, or like whenever I race, it's competitively. Unfortunately, sometimes that's not good, but I would love to do some just to do it. I'd love to race Baja. I'd love to do, the Mexico stuff. That would be great.
So let's do this. You Hunter Hart, let's get a Raptor 700 together and freaking, we'll see if we can help out and let's make it happen.
He would talk to. He would love to do. He'd love to do something. He's been trying to do something for a while now, but like I said, we've talked about this before too. My dad, he don't like it. He does not like racing.
Well,
Yeah,
especially if I put you on a Raptor 700 that's going to go 100 miles an hour.
yeah, he would. I don't think he'd like any of that. He doesn't want anything to do with any of that. That's for sure. He's not interested.
It's because he can't see you.
Yeah, it's long distances, and you never know what could happen in between. I get it 100%. I get it.
I used to hate the desert. I really did, because you couldn't see the machine. You didn't know what was going on. And now I actually enjoy it because you do the best you can to build the best machine you can. And you're putting a rider such as yourself, Hunter Hart, or, whoever, Josh Rowe, or any of these super fast guys, Bo Barron, you're putting them out there, and they know how to ride. They can handle just about anything that gets thrown at them. If the machine breaks, hey, there's a guy that comes along with a truck, picks them up, and brings them in.
Yeah,
Usually there's radio communication so that you'll know. If somebody goes down out there, within minutes, there's usually aid to them. That's how it works in the best in the desert stuff nowadays.
in the best in the desert stuff, yeah. And like I said, because I don't do it. I don't know a lot about it. I mean, I've heard Mexico's a different story. That's a
That's a different world.
That's a different world.
Yeah, you're not talking the same deal. There's less ability to get to you.
Yeah.
There is a lot of people and a lot of ways to help you if you break down. The physical portion that you have to worry about is if you get injured. That's the problem. That's a problem.
It is a problem, and that's serious. We just
But you can get medical assistance down there, and it's just sometimes they don't have the same amount of ability to get you to
the medical assistance.
yes.
Yeah.
So
I got you.
that could be some of your issue, but I think Best in the Desert would be great for Hunter Hart and you. Adam McGill's supposedly out here racing this year. It's always fun to have Adam, come out on the West Coast. Just if you ever really want to get under his skin, just ask him about Josh Rowe.
Josh Rose is his poison.
Well, they had a little spat back and forth about, Adam's bike was going to be the fastest thing on the planet, and Josh passed him before pit one. Josh started third and passed everybody by pit one, and we never looked back. It was never a contest, other than at pit two, our gas wasn't there, but we didn't. It didn't hurt us that bad, so it was a great race.
I know both of them. I know Josh too. That's funny. I'll ask Adam. I'll see what he has to say about it.
Adam is such a wonderful guy, though. I really enjoy talking to him because there you go, the pool of knowledge that guy has.
Oh yeah, I mean he just loves ATVs too. I mean, if you ask him about an ATV, he's going to talk about a Honda, but he loves it still.
I would love to get that guy and a couple other guys on one of my machines and let them see what a real desert machine's like. Just to see. It probably never going to happen because the finances aren't there to build them. I mean, how much they cost.
Yeah. It's yeah.
And I don't want to pull any punches, so I mean, I don't have an extra 25 grand to slap down on a frickin', to build a bike just to have these guys come out and race.
Yeah,
but it sure would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it?
It'd be cool to see what they could do. I mean, it's a different animal, and those guys they're not scared, so they could do some damage.
Oh yeah, and I totally think after racing WORCS, you'd have no problem in the desert because you've ridden some of the terrain. You understand how to read it. You grew up in Southern California.
Yeah,
you're not going to have an issue racing in the desert at all. I understand your dad's reluctancy. Totally get it. Totally get it.
That's the way it goes.
Exactly. So at this point, you have no news on what's going to happen in 2025 with Braxton Grosse yet.
I know that no matter what, I don't know. No, I don't know. I can't say anything for sure. It's always a toss in the air. I'm gonna be racing. No matter what. I don't know. I can't say for sure. It's always changing. I mean, like you said, this sport is it's hard to say. It's all about how everything goes, how my year ends, and it's a lot of things that have to go in line, and I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. I'm getting older, and I gotta start thinking about regular stuff, but this is what I want, like I said, it's what I want to do. So I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. My family's supporting me always. So we're good to go.
No offense, but I still see the kid with the smile, in the pits, frickin'. That's how I still see you. And it's not that you're not becoming a man and, that you haven't grown probably a head taller since then. I just still see that big smile and that bushy hair, and the kid in the pits just freaking having a blast. So that's what the industry always is about. Young people like yourself out there having a blast, loving ATVs. Look at Adam McGill. He's darn near 40 and he's still out there doing it, loving it and having a great time. I'm heading close to 60 and I still love ATVs.
Yeah, it's all about keeping the next generation coming. I like to say that. I like to think that I'm all old and grown up, but I'm the next generation. But then still, you got the next young kids, and that's all that it's about. Like just making sure that the sport stays alive because, at this point I'm close to the top level. So like now it's my job to make sure that everybody at the youth, everybody, all the micros, all the little bikes, everybody's loving it and keeping coming.
Exactly. Make sure that when those little kids want your photo and your autograph, you make sure you give it to them because you never know. You could be Adam McGill at one point in your career, in almost 40, and that kid that you didn't sign that autograph is freaking ramming your back tire on the racetrack saying, "Get out of my way, man. I don't like you. You didn't sign my autograph."
Yeah, old guy. I'll be, you know what, I'm going to be doing that to Adam here pretty soon, and I'll hit him extra hard.
Hey, you see that right over there?
I see that over there. I can give you a nice jersey that says 23 on it to go right over the top of that one.
Why isn't it here?
When I come down to do a show with you.
Oh, so yeah, that's going to be like in 5 years.
No, we'll figure something out.
All right, brother. I'm going to hold you to that. You're going to have to bring your dad with you.
Okay, I'll bring. Jeez, you want to talk to my dad too? Okay, I'm sorry. You know what? I'll bring.
All he's going to do is praise you.
Yeah.
So yeah. You don't even probably remember this. Your dad and I spent time on the track at the same time.
Racing together?
I don't remember if we were in the same class or not, or if I was done racing by then. But he was out there when I was out there. You know, he was an amateur, and before you were a kid, little one in diapers, probably when all this was happening. You know, I think some of it might even have happened before you were born.
A lot of his, I know his WORCS racing, I think it ended around like, I don't know when it ended, but I know that he was into the desert stuff like a lot before he started racing WORCS, and so I know he's been around.
It's an enjoyment to talk with you and to have gotten to watch your career grow. And I'm still a fan, and I'm still watching. Just like I was telling you the other day, I am a fan and I am watching what's going on. We may not get to talk. Granted, you know, you ride for other people, and I don't care about that anymore. Yeah. I care about, I know who you are. There's so many people that I enjoy just watching their careers grow. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, just like we were talking about, that's what it's about. You know, we're in a small industry, so we can't be tearing people down. Like, no matter who you are, like, we gotta always be growing, always be building, no matter what you are. Like, it's no matter like what you ride, whatever it is, it's just got to be growing. That's all that it's about.
You know, in my younger days, it was about the flag you flew, and it was that way for a long time until you realize that, you know what, my customers are my customers, people that are going to come to me for work or who they are. It doesn't mean I can't be friends with you or somebody else. You know, we had a pretty heated deal with Bo there for a couple years, and you know, Bo's probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet at the track. Yeah, and it's just now I consider him a friend and really enjoy talking with him. So you meet the greatest people at an ATV race. I say this almost every show, and you know it because look at you. You go back east and look at all the new friends you have. It's basically a family, right?
It's all a family. That's all it is. It's one big family. Everybody's always going to be there to help. You know, that's what's awesome about it. I would say I've been racing started racing dirt bikes a little bit more, and let me tell you, it's not quite the same on the dirt bike side. Those guys are a little bit more cutthroat, but the quad community we're tight. We're all tight for sure.
The team here at ATV-TALK would love your feedback. Please email it.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to share us with your family and friends. The podcast is available on all streaming platforms, and you can find us on social media as ATV-TALK Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter.